Good evening, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for Saturday, August 16, 2025. And in the news this evening, driver killed by falling boulder in the Bogue Walk Gorge. The Bogue Walk police in St. Catherine are investigating the tragic death of a motorist who was hit by a falling boulder on Friday. The deceased has been identified as Linton Davis, a 61-year-old laborer of Greater Portmore, St. Catherine. Reports are that about 1:30 p.m., Davis was driving along the Bogue Walk Gorge main road when a boulder fell off the hillside onto his Isuzu motor truck, smashing the top of the vehicle and severely injuring Davis. He was taken to the Spanish Town Hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. JFJ calls for more clarity on some proposals in PNP manifesto. Human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice is calling for the People's National Party to provide greater clarity regarding some of the proposals in its manifesto, particularly the section titled Justice for All. The PNP promised in its manifesto that if it forms the next government, legal aid services will be expanded to include civil and constitutional matters, ensuring that access to justice is not reserved for the wealthy. While welcoming some of the plans in the manifesto, JFJ Executive Director Michael Jackson says there needs to be clarification on alignment with the proposal the party made last year, where they mentioned the National Human Rights Institution. That body, she said, had been proposed as a replacement for the Office of the Public Defender, but expressed a concern that it does not now appear to be in the PNP's manifesto, and am not seeing how it has a strong relationship with the legal aid rate and the inclusion that the party is promising. Ms. Jackson, speaking with the news on Thursday, also pointed to the PNP's plans for constitutional reform, noting that the party does not appear to have settled on how the president will be chosen when Jamaica transitions to a republic.
There seems to be lack of clarity with how this proposal marries with their previous announcement last year at their conference, where they mentioned the National Human Rights Institutions. The NHRI is a body that what has been talked about before that would expand and replace, if you will, the Office of the Public Defender. The concern I'm having is that I'm not seeing it in the manifesto, and I'm not seeing how it has a strong relationship with the legal aid rate and inclusion that the party is promising. In the manifesto, it says that they will replace the British monarch with a Jamaican president chosen by and accountable to the people, which suggests that they're thinking about a directly elected president. But listening to the All Angles program last night with Senator Donna Scott Motley, it seems like the party in fact doesn't have a hard and fast position on whether or not the president should be chosen by the people. Rather, it seemed as if she was suggesting that it's more engagement to come to that consensus.
Air Canada strike begins impacting flights to Sangster International. MBJ Airports Limited, the operators of the Sangster International Airport, is advising passengers that 2 Air Canada flights scheduled for today have been cancelled, as more than 10,000 of the airline's flight attendants went on strike early Saturday. Flights AC 982 and AC 983 were scheduled to arrive at 11:05 a.m. and depart at noon respectively. MBJ says Air Canada passengers who were booked to travel today are advised not to proceed to the airport, but instead contact the airline for rebooking. Additionally, hotels are being advised to retain guests traveling via Air Canada and not to transport them to MBJ until the situation has been resolved and the normal flight operations resume. All affected Air Canada passengers must contact the airline directly through the following channels to rebook their flight or request a refund: Air Canada mobile app, by website aircanada.com/mybookings and aircanada.com/action, by telephone 1-888 247-2262. Travel agents for those who booked through third parties. MBJ says Sangsar International Airport operations are continuing normally for all other airlines and the flights. It says while these cancellations are beyond the MBJ's control, it understands the significant inconvenience these cancellations cause and is monitoring the situation closely to provide updates as soon as more information is available. Air Canada suspended operations after a deadline to reach a deal passed, leaving travelers around the world stranded and scrambling during the peak summer travel season. Canadian Union of Public Employees spokesman Hugh Pilot confirmed the strike had started after no deal was reached, and the airline said it halted operations. A bitter contract fight between Canada's largest airline and the union, representing 10,000 of its flight attendants, escalated Friday as the union turned down the airline's request to enter into government-directed arbitration, which would eliminate its right to strike and allow a third-party mediator to decide the terms of a new contract. A complete shutdown will impact about 130 people a day, and some 25,000 Canadians may be stranded abroad daily. Air Canada operates around 700 flights per day. NEPA calls on Jamaicans to stop burning garbage. The National Environment and Planning Agency is calling on Jamaicans to end the practice of burning garbage and agricultural waste, warning that it poses serious risk to public health, the environment, and the future generations. Speaking at a Jamaica Information Service think tank on Wednesday, August 13, Manager for NEPA's Air Quality Management Branch, Jodian Marston, stressed that reducing air pollution cannot be the responsibility of the agency alone. Many of the sources of air pollution fall outside NEPA's regulatory framework, and so we have to collaborate with other government agencies and the public at large to be able to reduce air pollution, which is already affecting the health of Jamaicans, she said. Marston described the backyard burning as a long-standing issue seen across the island. We are urging Jamaicans to refrain from burning domestic waste and to use other appropriate methods to manage their waste, such as composting, recycling, and reusing where possible, she suggested. She also appealed to farmers to abandon the use of slash and burn techniques in land preparation, noting that these fires contribute significantly to poor air quality. The call comes against the backdrop of the 2024 amendments to Jamaica's ambient air quality standards, which introduced tighter limits for pollutants and added monitoring for PM 2.5, which are fine particles that can penetrate deep into the lungs and enter the bloodstream, posing severe health risks. Since the amendments were made, NEPA has installed 11 PM 2.5 monitoring stations across the island to track these and other harmful pollutants. The amended standards are not the be-all and end-all. We all play a part in reducing air pollution, and we are encouraging the public to take personal responsibility, Marston said. For his part, Senior Manager for Environmental Management and Conservation at NEPA, Richard Nelson, reinforced the message of shared responsibility, extending it to water resource protection under the government's no-discharge policy. It can't be the government alone, it can't be NEPA alone. We need the support of everyone. While we can put policies such as this in place and we can enforce them, my call to industries is that we would rather not enforce but have you comply, because when we have to enforce, it means the damage is already done, he said. Nelson urged the licensed facilities from large industries to small operations like cookshops and car washes to comply with their license conditions to ensure sustainable operations that protect the rivers and other water sources. What we do today impacts our future generations, he noted, adding that the environment often doesn't show the impact of our actions immediately. Sometimes it's years down the road, but based on experience, we have a chance now to put a plug into that and to prevent a lasting damage. Both officials emphasized that safeguarding Jamaica's natural resources requires a community vigilance. Citizens are being reminded to report environmental breaches early so that they can be addressed before they escalate. We have a chance together to protect the air we breathe and the water we depend on. Every action counts and every citizen has a role to play, Nelson said. Thank you everyone for watching. See you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for another news update.